everybody, this is your man P Solo back here again for Thought Crimes, where it looks like LaRussell has been walked down on the internet.
My experience wasn't to be taken as the world's experience, but that's a flaw in me because I could have used better words to explain what I was trying to say. The ego in me is always like, nigga, I'm not gonna apologize for some shit I went wrong. Nigga, I went wrong, you feel me? But the human in me that's growing is like, nigga, it don't matter if you feel like you was wrong. Someone was offended by your actions.
He has officially apologized. He says, hey man, I would never disrespect Lil Wayne's legacy. I am so sorry that I did that. Now, let me get into this real quick because I just think it's fascinating. And at this point in time, I don't know if it is even worth mentioning you signing to Roc Nation. Now, LaRussell did his own thing. He worked hard for his independency, and I have been monitoring him for quite some time. Listen, I love a lot of Bay Area music, all right? Y'all already know it if you've been here on this channel long enough. From the A to the Bay, from the Bay to the A, we back at it again, right? And I really did enjoy the jam with LaRussell and Lil Jon. That's right, Lil Jon with LaRussell. And because LaRussell has been celebrated for the identity and damn near being one of the many mascots for independency, especially with the legacy of the Bay, the legacy of the West Coast, and you guys know the legacy of the South as well, and of course all through this thing we call hip-hop. So whether people were into LaRussell's music or not, whether people felt he was making clown car music or not, I did see at the very least people respected that the boy was independent. Which is why when he announced on The Breakfast Club that he signed to Roc Nation for the tenure that it is, it kind of threw some people. Now, that was one thing that maybe some of the people was having legit conversations about. Like, man, you know what, LaRussell, I don't know, right? And then the other side of the game became, well, you know, Roc Nation right now is looking a lot like the Empire in hip-hop. Dark Sidious J, Sith Lord Hove, is back out in these streets again, here to suck another young vessel. And this time the boy has the haircut of the mama from Good Times. Those conversations were already being had. People had questions. Then a clip popped up and LaRussell was saying how much he had disdain for Lil Wayne, and then he tried to put up an edited clip and it just didn't go well. So then what LaRussell started doing, he started getting back at some of his detractors online. And you guys know he did with all 53 of them teeth. He said, I can play games too, right? And that's what he did. He went back and forth with people on Twitter. Now, if you have a grand persona, if you have a large persona, unless you're actually funny, unless you're actually hilarious, unless you can actually roast, I always advise people, do not go back and forth with randos in the comment section, okay? Because they will always beat you down, all right? Like Tyson Fury did Wilder. Every time you step in the ring, you're getting knocked down, all right? So that's exactly what ended up happening. So he highlighted RealFamilyConcrete, Third Coast representative out of H-Town, and LaRussell said, basically, I'm gonna have me some fun here. So he highlighted RealFamilyConcrete's iTunes page, and he was saying, look, you don't even have any self-worth, 0.00, and then he circled it with some sort of digital highlighter. Then RealFamilyConcrete said, already, I got you. And he went in the booth and he did the freestyle that he did over Jay-Z's intro from Roc La Familia.
Yeah, who the fuck is LaRussell? Nigga joked on me for being independent like he ain't never hustled. I hate when niggas get a deal and wanna act like they ain't never struggled. Fucking with concrete, I put your ass in the dirt, your fans gon' need a shovel. Turn your ass to pebble. Talking about Wayne never had substance, so I drug you for him. Beating up this beat like I got double arms. I shoot a word for KFC, he got a double drum. You was just independent, now these labels use you as a pawn. Yeah, hey. Nappy beard ass fat nigga, you bad looking. Bullets hit your spine, now your back crooked. Roc Nation can't save you from this ass whooping. Jay-Z can't save you from this ass whooping.
Y'all know that Posse Cut album with Beanie Siegel, M. Bleak, and some of the other boys that are rolling around or was rolling around with Rockefeller. That was also kind of playing off some entendres, the idea that LaRussell, quote unquote, tap danced his way into those offices concerning Jay-Z and of course the Diddy Illuminati. Now again, LaRussell's business is his business. RealFamilyConcrete had every right to respond. It's not clout chasing, folks. You highlighted me. I rap. What do you think I'm gonna do? Get back at you, right? Tell him to get in the booth. Now I personally don't feel LaRussell is a battle MC. I don't think he's that type of rapper. There are some early clips when he's a lot smaller, a lot pudgier, a little more rounder. He's kind of doughier now, but it showed that he was spitting, he was battling people, but I don't think that's the angle where he's going to be going right now. And plus, that's not really what he's known for. And like I said before, you can't fight the full-armed Goro of the internet if you're not funny, you're not hilarious, and you cannot roast, especially black Americans. You better be able to roast black Americans, because if you can't, it's a loss. Anyway, so RealFamilyConcrete responded. LaRussell eventually did apologize, quote unquote, to the culture in general, because what he realized is that, number one, my beard is very nappy. All right, number one, I can't come outside with my beard looking like this, because that's exactly what RealFamilyConcrete was getting at, and the beard jokes eventually started becoming a meme, and you becoming a new artist introduced to the rest of society. This is not the way you want to come in the game. So, of course, he had to take a Colin Kaepernick, no pun intended, and he says, look, let me get my round ass, bubble coat wearing ass in the summertime up out the way. So at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I think LaRussell probably sat down. Maybe he might have talked to his grandma. He might have talked to his nana. He might have talked to some old black woman. And they say, hey, little boy, you better be quiet. Looks like the internet got an ass whooping specially gifted and packaged for you and your yellow bubble coats in the summertime. Also, side note, I will go ahead and link RealFamilyConcrete's music in the description box. You guys can check it out. I did check out some of his music. He actually does have what they call substance. Y'all get a chance to check it out. Y'all know what it is. Third Coast representative, H-Town, what's up? All right, children, on to the next piece of drama in news during this beautiful Black History Month. All right, now Disney is facing criticism from the black community over the new superhero, Captain Durag. All right, now this is reported by IMDb. I will put that link in the description box as well if you guys want to do further research. But Disney is facing major criticism after introducing a new superhero character called Captain Durag in its animated series, Hey AJ. The show follows a young girl named AJ as she uses her imagination to turn everyday moments into exciting adventures. Oh, that is so good. I mean, look at the little cute girl. Ain't she such a little cute character? Captain Durag serves as a guardian in AJ's imaginary world. There you go, you guys. Black men with authority, right? A black man with a position of power. And not only that, who says stepfathers in the black community is impossible, right? Which is set in the fictional world of Slime City. All right, so the creator of this show, I believe her name is Camille Corbett. Now, I did look up some interviews with Camille Corbett. She is zany, and she is definitely spacey, right? I mean, you know, she even had a video where she was breaking down, you know, her ideas on the backlash, and she has basically the Captain Durag cape on.
Camille here. I'm a writer on Hey AJ, and I'm the creator of Durag Man. I know it's Black History Month. Let's take a deep breath together and let's release ourselves from the shackles of respectability politics. Come on, guys. We finally have a superhero with our culture. Let's not talk about semantics and let's just focus on what's happening. If you've seen the show, you know the bunnies in every episode. Slime City is funny. Come on, guys. Let's get into it.
She's like, it's a 6-foot Durag. She just thought it was funny. Now, I did look at least one of the episodes. I'm going to tell you this right off the bat. It's going to be a double no because it's Disney. Let me just be real with you about that. Because Disney has a history of racial, stereotypical imagery, like the Song of the South, and it was just a bunch of just slaves singing, and it was all type of stereotypical stuff. It was like a happy, uplifting, positive version of Django on Zoloft. Just crazy stuff. Just the mindset of Hollywood at the beginning. But like I always tell you all, don't be surprised by anything concerning Hollywood, even the people that are upset about Captain Durag, because one of the first major blockbusters of Hollywood was Birth of a Nation. That is the spirit of Hollywood. It don't matter who is at the helm of it. Eventually, somebody thinks like that at the top inside of Hollywood. Now, Camille Corbett decided to get back at the internet in her own zany way. I think it was a flop. I think it was a fumble. And I felt it was kind of a situation where, come on, Shadu, talk about misreading the room. Now, I think a huge portion of the grand criticism has to do with the idea that it is Disney. People are tired of Disney. It doesn't matter who it is, but especially black folks. Black people are tired of Disney. Disney just seemed like they can never get it right. And at that point in time, how I live is, hey man, you keep messing up, you're doing it on purpose. So listen, black people during Black History Month, they don't have time for this type of trolling. They don't have time for these type of announcements. And let's be real, there's a lot of dark warlocks and witches that work in these Fortune 500 Illuminati companies. And a lot of this to me has to do with emotional chaos magic. Disney ain't been able to get no traffic no other type of way. So Camille comes out and she starts spinning around and she says, hey guys, there's nothing wrong here. And she said, basically, this property, this character, Captain Durag, was inspired by the blaxploitation era. And I said again, Shawty, you are misreading the room. Now, the blaxploitation era in itself was really just black cinema. You had a renaissance in black cinema. You had, great minds like Melvin Van Peebles, whose son Mario Van Peebles went on to direct New Jack City later on in the late 80s or early 90s. But you also had with Melvin Van Peebles, Sweet Badass, and then you had the late, great Gordon Parks, a fantastic photographer, legendary director, paved the way for a lot of black people in cinema, right? But at the time, it wasn't called blaxploitation. That's something, quote unquote, white Hollywood gave it. All of these Negroes call it blaxploitation, right? Because think about it, it's a terrible name, exploitation of blacks. It was just simply black cinema, right? And we already starting off on the wrong string of the do-rag when she says that. You do have to keep this in mind, black cinema, this renaissance in black cinema was hijacked, and it did resuscitate Hollywood. And once Hollywood in its resuscitation hijacked black cinema, it becomes coined as blaxploitation, or the exploitation of black culture, especially American black culture. So it's not really a good look per se, because, you go from the great minds of Melvin Van Peebles and Gordon Parks to, movies like The Thing with Two Heads or The Black Gestapo, which was like this black Nazi thing. All of the stuff that later gives birth to New Era Ye. So with that being the case, if this was an independent situation, because we've always had funny moments, dark comedy, but the idea that this is a child's property through Disney and it starts off in this manner, AJ, with Captain Durag, of course people are going to look at it crazy. People want to know, who are the writers? I understand that Camille herself is a lead writer, but is this a situation where what we had with Good Times, and it was also sponsored by Steph Curry? Steph Curry money has been trickling to some crazy spaces, even going all the way up to all this stuff with the IDF and technology. But even with the reboot and the resuscitation of the property, the enterprise of Good Times, and the show was terrible. The animation was terrible. It was like a really bad rendition of Eddie Murphy's The PJs. And so with that being the case, if this was an independent property, and I feel if there was a grander black creative staff, a black creator team, and I think feeling that it would be from us, it wouldn't feel as cartoonish, it wouldn't feel as stereotypical. But because this is through Disney, and then also Camille just cannot read the room, because it almost like she acts like a drunk Miss Frizzle. Look, I don't know the sister, but she act like a drunk Miss Frizzle. It's like, hey everybody, this is gonna be fun, and there's nothing wrong with it, and look, and we're gonna do-rag it away, voila. And I just think it's a very odd situation, my personal opinion, launching it during Black History Month. Now, I did go into the comment section. Again, black folk, like a lot of the people that are about to shame black people who happen to be black people are not a monolith. That's usually what they start off with, right? So they get a chance to say some black KKK stuff, but I'm not going to say that. Black people are not a monolith, though. All right. And I did see some black people in the comment section. They like some of the songs. They like some of the song structures. So it's kind of like it's all over the place. But for the most part, when I get to Twitter or X, or I get to Threads, or what I've seen on TikTok, there's a lot of people that are just genuinely not feeling the property. I can't fault them for that. Giving the extremely bigoted, racist, stereotypical images of black people that have come out of the history of Disney. And I know Disney has tried to do better, you know, at some points in time, but they had a lot of misses than hits. And I think this is another one, strike batter, that this is a miss as well. And I'm not saying that it can't be done. I want to be clear. I just think that Disney can't do it. That's my personal opinion. Disney is not the one to do it. People don't want to see Disney present Captain Durag. All right. Disney has had enough flops concerning black folks. They've had some wins here and there, but they had more flops than often. And I don't think people are just interested. And not only that, I think Camille's presentation to the culture or black people online, I think it is dismissive. I think there should have been at least a more structured conversation around the character, you know, and I just think in this particular situation, I just think it's a strike. You know, it's not executed well at all. We've had a lot of Durag jokes on social media, folks. There are skits, there are series based on it online. You can type it in anywhere. And this is even before TikTok. This is even before Instagram. You can even go all the way back to Vine, YouTube. Black people have had some of the best comedy in America, just period. All right, just end the story. So I'm not sensitive about the idea that the brother got a durag on, or even that the brother is a trash man. And look, I don't think it's not all that off that the brother is looking out for a little girl. But also at the same time, it just can't be Disney, and Camille can't be talking to black folks like that online. Not only that, it's just people don't feel like it don't have no soul. Does that make sense? At the end of the day, Captain Durag ain't got no soul. It do feel like it's kind of like pieced together on some Blackish type stuff, and people just don't feel it has soul. You know, it don't feel like it had the same soul of Meteor Man with Robert Townsend, or some of the skits that he was doing with Hollywood Shuffle. And again, I'm not saying it has to be that deep, because at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a child's property. But let's be real, black children got souls too. They gravitate to soul things, a little baby soul, like, hey man, this thing ain't got no soul. They're like, that ain't good. So listen, I just think it's poorly executed. I think Camille just keeps making it worse every time the girl opened her mouth up. And I think they can go in and wrap this one up. All right. Again, you guys can leave your opinions below. How do you feel about Captain Durag? Do you just think people are, you know, being overly sensitive about the situation? Do you think people are trying to ruin moments for children? You know, do you feel that there's some black shame there? Or do you just think, in general, it's not that big of a deal? Let the children watch the show, all right? Also, drop your comments below, folks. I'm your man, P Solo. We also have merch. You guys can check it out below this video. Y'all can get to our merch store. And if you want to get a mug, an item, I might even work on some durags, all right? Or two, I'll have that up there as well. I'm out. Peace.
sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow.
Oh my God, what's this? Elby?
And I sing happy. And I sing happy. And I sing happy. And I sing
We are all the same. We are all the same. More group date.
Coming through your airwaves. All right, now I'm here to kick the ballistics. Check out Thought Crimes. Are you following me? Coming through your airwaves. Coming through your airwaves. You ain't gonna get me with that one.
To this day. To this day.
You shouldn't turn your back on me.
Is that a challenge?
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Black folks are nosy. They have specials. Nosy specials. Why does a bee make honey? You ain't a bee. Why do you give a fuck?